The last shape that we have is a sphere. And we will need to do the surface area and the volume of a sphere. I was looking at how they prove these formulas, and I saw somebody on the internet last night. I was watching YouTube who took an orange peel, and then what they did is they took this orange and they cut it directly in half. Interesting. And they cut it directly in half, and then they traced around this hemisphere. Imagine half of a sphere. And they traced around it and then made 4 of those circles. So I don't know if you can imagine like an orange. You cut it directly in half. And then you take that and you would have one, you would have 1, 2, 3, 4 of these circles. And what the person did who peeled the orange is they took all the peels and started putting them in the circle. And what happens is that by the time they were done peeling the oranges, that orange peel would fill 4 of these circles. And it was the way that they proved that the surface area of a sphere is 4 pi r squared, or 4 circles. Somebody did it on the internet on YouTube, where I saw somebody take tin foil, put it around a ball, take half of that ball, and then draw the circles that are the same radius as the sphere of the circle, and the tin foil you could rip and put it down and make sure it covers, and you should have 4 full circles. That would be a neat experiment for you to try if you were trying surface area of a sphere. Volume, on the other hand, is 4/3 pi r cubed to the 3rd power. This one's to the 2nd power. This one's to the 3rd power. These 2 formulas you're going to be using. And the hardest part about Unit 9 is knowing your formulas, because if you don't know your formulas, you're not going to be punching them in to find the correct answers. So here we go. We'll try to do our best memorizing these 2 formulas. Let's answer a few questions that are in your homework. Number 6. Use the given circumference to find the surface area of each spherical object. So this is what we're looking for. We're looking for the surface area, but we are only given circumference. So if I need to find surface area, then what variable do I need? I need to know what r is. It's the only thing I need to figure out. Did they give me what the radius was equal to? No, they gave me what the circumference is equal to. And so this is where you're going to have to use something that we did in 9.2. The formula for circumference of a circle that deals with r. If you remember what that is, tell the person you're sitting next to. So it should be, for circumference, 2 pi r. If you said pi times d, that would also be correct, but we want the one that deals with r in this case. If you said pi r squared, that is area, not circumference. So now we know that the circumference of this meteorite, that must be something flying. Wait, meteorite. Does that mean it landed? Oh yeah, it landed on Earth's surface. Otherwise, it would be an asteroid because it goes by, right? That's the difference between an asteroid and a meteorite. I have to remember my science. Not very good at science sometimes. So if I have circumference equals 2 pi r, and I want to figure out what r is, I just divide by 2 pi. Now I want to warn you on this. If you go to a calculator, one of the most common calculator mistakes is people who type this into your calculator, it depends on your model. If you put divided by 2 pi, you have to make sure this bottom thing is in parentheses if you use the divided by button. I will show you why here in a second. Let me show you what it is with the fraction button first. 26.062. Fraction button, I'm going to go to the denominator. 2 shift pi. This is what it should be equal to. 4.147. I'm just going to leave that there. Maybe I should round this to an 8. Now, if I did that, here's the common mistake. I want you to see it so that you can become smarter. 26.02. Some people will say, well, I just divide that by 2 pi. Watch how this answer is different. I lied. Hang on a second. Un momento, por favor. Delete. I got to change calculators here because maybe the Casio's got a little smarter on me. Older model, newer model. Okay, I'm going to an older model. Depending on your calculator, depending on the software settings. What calculators do if you have an older model calculator or something that's not as fancy, okay, is the calculator's doing this calculation. It's taking the 26.02 and then it only divides it by 2. It follows order of operations. It does division and multiplication from left to right. So it's dividing by the 2, then it's multiplying by pi. Whereas what we wanted to do, watch this, I'm going to go over here, put parentheses around that. And that's what we want it to do, just so you know. Yeah. See, I know I'm old, but I mean, I do know some of those things. Okay. Now we know what the radius is. What are we really looking for? We're looking for the surface area. The surface area, I'm hoping you don't look at your notes. What's the formula for the surface area of a sphere? Tell the person you're sitting next to, please. It's okay. And we now know that the radius is this value that was 4.148-ish. What I love to do is I love to leave this answer on my calculator. I avoid this all clear button. Don't clear it out. You have the work right there in your calculator. So use that to your advantage. 4 shift pi times the answer squared. Why do I do that? So I don't have to type that number in again. It will take the last answer you had and square that result. And guess what? It will take all 12 digits that it had and it will square it so that we're going to be a little more accurate than somebody who rounded too soon. Our answer for the surface area to the nearest 10th place. And we're talking about area. So it's going to be in yards squared. There we go. And by the way, I do recommend that you check, because some of you have your own calculators. Like I'm looking at Emily's calculator. She has the TI 30. She better check and see about this little thing to make sure. Was yours the old software or the new software? Oh, what do you know? Okay. So I double check on the calculator you are using whether it does that or it doesn't. Next question, number 13. A sphere has the given volume. Find its surface area to the nearest whole number. The volume of a sphere, without looking at your notes. See if you know what that formula is. Tell the person sitting next to you what you think it is. There's only one variable in it. And we know this volume is 1,200 feet cubed equals 4/3 pi r cubed. What do we need to find? We need to find surface area. So the only thing that we can do now is figure out what r is, then plug that into the surface area formula. So what I will do is I'm going to get rid of this stuff right here. And I'm going to do this, doing this the opposite way. This is multiplying. I'm going to divide by 4/3 pi. I'm going to divide by 4/3 pi. I'm going to divide by pi first. When you divide by 4/3, you know what you're really doing? You're multiplying by. So guess where the 3 goes on top? The 4 goes on bottom. Equals r to the 3rd power. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my calculator. I'm going to simplify this because I just said, oh, that goes in there 300 times. This is 900 divided by pi. So if I want to double check my math, 3 times 1200 over 4 shift pi. I'm using the fraction button, that way I don't have to worry about parentheses. It's about 286.4. And I want to see if my 900 divided by pi is the same thing. It is. Look at that. And I can go up to my previous questions or down to my next one. That's why I don't clear it out, so I can see my previous work. 286.47-ish equals r to the 3rd. Now if I want r by itself, then what I have to do is I have to get rid of this 3rd power. That means I'm going to have to take the 3rd root, or take it to the 1/3 power. That means I'm going to have to take this and take the 3rd root of that 286.47. R will be approximately, now how do I do that on the calculator? This black Casio FX300 ES has a 3rd root button. If you have one of the gray ones, you may not have the 3rd root button. Do you? Okay. If you are looking for it, I'm trying to point to this on here. I see a X root button. I'm going to use that. So I'm going to press Shift, 3rd root. That's what it looks like on my calculator. You need to find it on yours. If you can't find it, you can always raise this to the 1/3 power. You can always raise this to the 1/3 power if you need to, and you can't find it. That was what Ari is going to have to do with that big calculator of hers. Okay? So I'm going to do this. There's that answer button coming back. Take that 3rd root of my previous answer. Just to make sure, I'm taking the 3rd root of the 286.47, which is about 6.5922. That's what my radius is equal to. Is that what I'm looking for? I'm looking for my surface area. So now what I have to do is go into my surface area formula and plug this value in. If you know what the formula for surface area is, say the first number out loud.
4.
Next number.
Pi.
Next value.
R.
And
Squared.
good job. 4 pi, and guess what I'm going to do? 6.5922 squared. On my calc, I already have this value. I'm going to use it for shift pi times answer squared. Almost every single scientific calculator has that answer button somewhere on it. So I do recommend it. And it says to the nearest whole number. So I'm on, now is where I actually round. Now I go, okay, I'm not going to use all extra 8 digits. I'm just going to round to the nearest whole number, 546. Number 15. This is given surface area. Bless you. The surface area is equal to, we have a formula, 4 pi r squared. And I know what the surface area is. It's 900 pi inches squared. Can we figure out what r is? Sure. Divide by 4 pi. So then the pi's would cancel. (900) divided by 4 is 225 inches squared equals r squared. Square root, square root. The square root of inches squared is inches. Kind of neat that the radius is going to be measured in inches. 225, the square root of 225 is 15. That is not our final answer, because we need to find the volumes in terms of pi. So now I need my volume formula. Let's say it again. The first fractional value is, the next numerical value is, the next variable is, and the exponent is. If you're not practicing that, you need to do, this is like the flashcards of our lesson. Make sure you're practicing over and over again of what we need. So 4/3 pi, and my radius is 15 inches to the third power. Guess what that means your units are going to be in when inches get raised to the third power? It's going to be inches cubed, which should match what you already know about volume. (4/3 pi times 15 to the third power). Make sure you know how to raise something to the third power. And we need to leave our answer in terms of pi. If your calculator does not leave your answer in terms of pi, multiply the 4/3 times 15 cubed. You'll get 4,500 and put a pi next to it. My calculator, the one I've recommended to you, leaves it in terms of pi. Inches cubed. Last example. A bowling ball must have a diameter of 8.5 inches. If the bowling ball weighs 16 pounds, find the density, pounds per inches cubed, of the bowling ball. Density is the quotient of the weight divided by volume. Round your answer to the nearest hundredth. So because we didn't really talk about density, and this is the only question about density on the worksheet, I thought we would do it together. Okay? This is a great science word, density. How dense are you? How much volume do you have per square inch? That was a bad thing to be called dense back in the day. Like, oh, he's very dense. It meant that you were like thick-headed or something like that. Okay, anyways, bowling ball. It's got 3 holes in it. Yay, there we go. But I'm trying to shade it. Let's see. Oh, that's a great bowling ball, Mr. Bramo. Yeah. Kind of looks like a smiley face. If the bowling ball weighs 16 pounds, find the density. Okay, and it has a diameter. So let's figure out the volume of this bowling ball. Volume formula, 4 thirds pi r cubed. 4/3 pi. If the diameter is 8.5, what's the radius going to be? So the first thing we're going to figure out is how many inches cubed this thing is going to be, and that's inches. So I'm going to take my calculator now. Four-thirds pi times 4.25 to the third power. So here's my volume. It gives it to me in terms of pi, and we're going to have to round to the nearest hundredth. So let's just see what that number is. This number is about 321.555 inches cubed. Not our answer, but it'll help us get to our answer. Density is the quotient of the weight divided by the volume. Weight, let's put density is equal to the weight divided by the volume. Now I know what the volume is. The volume is this 321.555. What is the weight of this particular bowling ball? 16 pounds? Who bowls with a 16-pounder? You're a tough sucker. Let me tell you what, because I like that little nice 10-pound. 12-pound is heavy. Heavy. I don't know if you know, but they have different weights. You've been bowling before? How many people have been bowling here? Raise your hand so I can see. Okay, perfect. You guys know that the little light one is like 6-pounder, and then the next one is an 8-pounder. When you're a little kid, you would use the light one. Some of you ladies probably still use the 6 or the 8s. And then the 10, and then you hear those, the heavy ones are like 12s, 14s, a 16-pounder. That sucker's heavy, man. Man, my arm gets sore just thinking about it. Okay. Now, with that being said, pounds per inches cubed. All I do is take this number divided by that number. Good thing I have my answer button. 16 divided by answer button. What is the density to the nearest 100.049758 hundredth, tenths, hundreds, 0.05 pounds per cubic inch. Whoa. Doesn't seem like it, huh? But who knows? There you go. We'll stop your notes right there.